Well, Melbourne City put 10 goals past Perth Glory in their 2 games last season, but plenty has changed over the past 12 months. New personnel and a new season will give the Glory renewed hope that they can overcome what coach Stephen Peters described midweek as an immense challenge. The juggernaut of Melbourne City will want to keep rolling on, however, and fresh off a Christmas derby victory, they'll back themselves to get the job done today. Well, it was one of the all-time days of A-League women's football yesterday. Adelaide United putting 5 past the Wanderers before Melbourne Victory came back in stoppage time from 3 goals down to draw 3-3 with the Mariners. Canberra United overcoming the Jets in stoppage time as well, just to top it all off. Hopefully today can continue that trend. So Perth Glory waiting in the tunnel. Their captain, Izzy Dalton, plenty on her mind at the moment. How to keep out Melbourne City? Well, Perth have kept 2 clean sheets in their past 2 games. So if they can keep that momentum rolling, that will certainly be of great assistance. The crowd here out for this first of 2 matches today at Amy Park. Of course, the men's playing the same opponents afterwards, so plenty of reason for fans to get out there and enjoy the action. No cricket on across the road, of course, so plenty of fans out and about ready to enjoy some football. A glorious day in Melbourne as well, mid to high 20s. We're still waiting on Melbourne City, the home team, to get in the tunnel. Maybe they're a bit late from their Christmas lunch. It's great to see the youngsters out and about as well. Absolutely love their team. Here they come, Melbourne City. Big chat to the mascots before they go out. Rebecca Stott, the captain's armband as always. A-League women's appearance, 150 for her today. Legend of the game, much loved by fans and players across the competition, and for good reason as well, not just for her on-field exploits, but off the field as well. Let's take a look at teams walking out of the tunnel now. Match ball is ready. Referees are ready. And the crowd is ready for what will be, no doubt, an exhilarating game of football if the rest of the round is anything to be continued. Let's take a look at the way the 2 sides line up. An unchanged starting team for Melbourne City from the team that came back to defeat Melbourne Victory midweek. The only change is on the bench, where Kaya Jugovic is in line to make her A-League women's debut. Holly McNamara will make her 50th Melbourne City appearance today, leading the line. So Rebecca Stott, Melbourne City captain, she joins an exclusive club today, appearance 150 in the Ninja A-League. Raised in Melbourne, the Kiwi international has had stints at Brisbane Roar and Melbourne Victory before joining City in 2015. Much loved by fans and fellow players, not only for her feats on the pitch, but also documenting her remarkable recovery from Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2021. 2 changes, meanwhile, for the visiting Perth Glory, with Emma Tovar and Susan Fonsonkamp coming in for Clancy Westaway and Gabby Holler, who both moved to the bench. Also on the bench is Onyinyechi Zog, who missed last week entirely due to a quad strain. Her usual centre-back partner, Naomi Chinema, former Melbourne City player, remains unavailable. Well, there is Melbourne City head coach Michael Matriciani watching on, and there is Tian McKenna from Perth Glory. It's always a big day for her when the Glory take on Melbourne City, against her former side, of course, but also an opportunity to get bragging rights up against her big sister, Letitia McKenna, who starts for City today. Well, Michael Matriciani cut a delighted figure after the Melbourne derby victory midweek. It's a little bit more serious today he knows his team will have to back it up against Perth. His message to the players to be themselves, express themselves, and see just what they can do on the pitch. The central official today is Beck Mackey. She's assisted by Laura Moya and Daphne Gunaras. The fourth official today is Joe Moss. Well, Perth Glory coach Stephen Peters said pre-game that Perth will have to be good with their high press against Melbourne City, seemingly hoping that they can catch City in possession. If you cast your mind back to round one last season, it can work to score goals. The challenge is, will they be able to keep them out at the other end? And that is not an easy thing to do when the likes of Holly McNamara are lining up against you, the Matilda, last season's Golden Boot. That is the task that Perth Glory have in front of them today. Keep an eye out on Tanella Butcheress as well. She is a handful in one-on-one situations. So it's Perth Glory who get us underway at Amy Park. The Glory looking to make it their third win in three clean sheets as well, but away from home in Melbourne against defending premiers Melbourne City, a team that they conceded 10 goals against in their 2 games last season. Well, that is certainly not an easy task. It is Perth Glory showing off that high press early, though, and it's a great opportunity as they look to pass it around and create that first chance to bring in Ish Ferguson. Ish, what are you expecting from these two teams today?
Well, exactly like you said, Taryn. I like the fact that Stephen Peters wants to employ the high press against Melbourne City, but we've seen them be able to break through the lines against a high press so many times. But great to see the intensity. Perth really need to up their game away from home, coming off the back of 2 home wins. So they've got a fair bit of confidence coming into this match. So I want the intensity. I want to see the quality as well, Taryn.
Here's Misha Anderson out on this right-hand side for Johnston, firing at central. Badawia trying to find space. The shot from Fonsoncan blocked by Apostolakis. Promising early signs from the Glory. Still retaining possession here. Tova back into the starting lineup over to Cassidy, who is forced to play it all the way back. Tian McKenna playing centre-back today. Of course, the usual centre-back pairing for Perth Glory of Naomi Chinema and Oni Zog, both unavailable today. Zog back making the bench, but not being fit enough to start. Nice passing movement from Perth in the middle. Brought undone by the experienced defender, Danielle Cerner for City. So the Glory making their intentions known. That round 1 game last season, they actually went 2 goals to the good before just being blown away by City in the end. 5-2 the final result. But the goals scored from winning the ball high, and that is what Stephen Peters is looking to exploit. It seems to be the way to score against City, but then of course, risk versus reward. Leave yourself exposed at the back perhaps. Here is McNamara picking up the ball high. McKenna. Hayden Keane. Has the ball taken away, and now it's the Glory in transition. Tian McKenna up to Badawia. Roll of Badawia, perhaps has Bronte True to aim for. Still Badawia, the ball across, defended away, just about, no! So close for the Glory. Bronte True on the turn. The ball came back to her almost perfectly, lifting it above the crossbar.
A lovely ball in from Badawia. We know she's so dangerous, really positive in this wide area. Cuts that ball back across. Bronte True just not able to keep the ball down. I thought Susan Fonsonkamp could have made a run into the box as well, been a bit more positive supporting in that 18-yard box, but really positive start from Perth.
That's scrappy defending from City too. They weren't able to clear their lines, and then again almost losing out. So this early game plan from the Glory almost coming up here already.
Yeah, and it's the ability to be able to sustain that high press as well, Tara, and it's great in the early stages of the game. Melbourne City do tend to almost you know, pressure you with the pressure and possession that they have over time and over the course of the game. We know they're a high possession team, so it's about being able to keep that intensity up on Perth's press.
Apostolakis bundled over there by Tovar, so City will have an opportunity from a set piece, but instead they'll take it quickly. Looking out wide for Buttress. Buttress against Johnston. Still Danny Buttress goes to ground. No penalty, says the referee.
Well, wonderful, positive pace, being nice and brave. Danella Buttress on that left-hand side gets a touch past. Well, maybe made a bit more of it in real time. I thought she may have had a case for a penalty, Taryn, but I think she was definitely looking for that little bit of contact from Johnson, and a good decision by Beck Mackey.
Yeah, that's fantastic refereeing on the replay, because live...
Yeah. Well, Beck Mackey, I think, had a really good view of it. So with the angle that we see, you're not sure how much of that contact was actually made, but she was in a great position just on the edge of that 18-yard box, and absolutely the right decision.
Here comes City again, end-to-end stuff at the moment. Buttress threading it through. Uchendu not quite able to get the touch that she needed. The 28-year-old Nigerian international starting again for the second consecutive time today. Been in and out of the squad to start the season, but she's looking to get her minutes up now and impress in a City shirt.
Great to see so many Perth players in this final third really trying to put the pressure on Melbourne City. We know that's how they play. However, Perth are really committed to trying to win that ball back as high up the pitch as possible.
They're not playing like a team that's looking for a 1-0. Von Sonkamp. Susan Von Sonkamp trying to find space to shoot. Comes out instead. Dalton Mears spilt it. Bronte True was lurking. City look a little bit at 6s and 7s here.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure the decision of Izzy Dalton there, but probably had a little look to see the run of Bronte True. It was a bit of an awkward one for Mears as well. Izzy Dalton almost looked in two minds of whether she was going to have a shot or try and play that ball onto the run of Bronte True. But Melbourne City just a couple of times being caught out, trying to play out, trying to break the lines like we know they want to do. And Perth have done really well winning that ball back high up the pitch.
This is shaping up to be a very different game than the last two games that the Glory have played. They come in with a specific game plan against City. Look at this again, this high press. Davidson that time having to back up and play into Rebecca Stott. Good control from Uchendu, but the pass not matching the first touch.
I was going to say, the strength of Melbourne City as well, as we have seen, is that they do like to play out short passes, break the lines, but with a player like Rebecca Stott at the back who can actually pinpoint passes to break through the pressure and play that ball a bit further up, Uchendu just needs to do better with keeping possession once they break out of that high press from Perth.
It's these moments that intrigue me the most. Perth in possession themselves, trying to play through City, and how does City set up and how can they potentially capitalise. Here's True, keeping the ball in play, looking for the cross. It's come all the way through. Von Sonkamp got the shot away, not on target.
Well, just to your point, Taryn, I think some of probably the execution of the passes from Perth, they are trying to play forward quickly, those quick transition moments. Fong Song-Kam here did well. Her first touch was delightful, just couldn't whip her foot around and was under pressure from a couple of Melbourne City defenders as well. But probably just to be, you know, hypercritical, Perth went in possession. Once they get a bit further forward, just need to make sure that those passes go to the right side of the player, have the right weight on them as well, so they can really build those combinations.
Here they come, the Glory again, that time having to retreat. City able to come forward, 18 Keane and Holly McNamara, the two players furthest forward in their press. Apostolakis reading the play well. Pass straight to Tovar.
Yeah, that was probably an example there with Izzy Dalton just playing that ball in front where Apostolakis could actually step in.
McKenna looking to switch play. Fonsongkham herring after it. Susan Fonsongkham. Who can she find in the middle? Still Fonsongkham. Sato in support. Sato would have been offside, so she just had to leave it. Sato eventually decides she wants to try and retrieve it. Ball still in a dangerous area here for City. Sato almost catching the blind side of Uchendu, but she recovered in time. The end result, a goal kick.
I was going to say, tell you what, some recovery run from Uchendu as well. But a little bit, I love the forward run, getting beyond the ball from Julia Sato as well. We talk about when Izzy Dalton played that ball in front and Apostolakis was able to step in. There's that balance of trying to keep possession in front of the defence and waiting for the right moment to try and break through and get players running beyond the last line of defence for Melbourne City.
For the domestic game.
How about that? Perth Glory, 63% possession now. These are two teams that came into this game. Melbourne City with the highest pass completion percentage in the competition, as they always are. Perth Glory amongst the lowest, the second lowest.
And I mean, that's a great turnaround from Perth Glory. I think the last two games they've had a little bit of change of formation. They were playing between like a back three and a back five. Stephen Peters has changed to a back four, and they look more comfortable, and it looks like it's a more balanced team. And a couple of wins builds more confidence. So I think this game has come at a really good time for Perth, particularly being away from home.
Can City weather this storm and find a way to get a little bit of control over this game? Because at the moment, it is the visitors, Perth Glory, who are the team in control. That ball from Sato, though, a little bit too ambitious. Fonsongkham, not even she's quite that quick.
Well, I don't mind it. Maybe it's just trying to get this Melbourne City defence to think about what we need to do if we're playing it in behind, turning them around, making them defend facing their own goal, and just changing it up. Sometimes trying to play in front, sometimes try and play behind and keep them guessing.
A slight issue here for 18 Keane is the player that's gone to ground. She's indicating that there was some sort of head knock in that challenge. The play will be stopped as she receives physio attention. That's nothing too serious. A little bit of a smile on her face.
Yeah, I think I could read her mouth when she said it just really hurts. She got a proper knock right on the top of the crown of her head from Julia Sato, which could be a pretty sensitive spot. She looks like she's up, she's alert, which is great. Getting the usual HIA checks, doctor and physio. But this could be a really interesting break in play, whether it breaks Perth's momentum, and Michael Matriciani might have an opportunity to have a chat to the Melbourne City players, because I think by their standards they probably think they've started slowly, and how Perth can maintain that momentum. Sometimes like a couple of minutes break in play, then you've got to get yourself going again. You've been, you've had this momentum and then you stop. Sometimes it can be hard to get it going again.
It certainly seems like this will benefit City here. Hopefully Keane is okay. She is getting back to her feet, which is good to see.
Melbourne City Ultras in for the women's game, leading into the double header with the men. I love double headers, particularly when you're playing at Amy Park, which is one of the best footballing venues in the country. The surface is immaculate. I think all players really enjoy coming to this stadium and playing on this surface, because it really does give you the best opportunity to play your best football.
Uchendu trying to force it forward. He will be called back for the foul on McNamara in the build-up. Keane trying to get back on, just being stopped by the fourth official, and is now wandering back on, which is good to see.
Yeah, I see McKenna just a little late. Stud on the ankle of Holly McNamara. She was always up for a lot of attention, isn't she, Holly McNamara? She cops a fair bit, but is such an incredible player and has so much resilience.
And that's a bit of an errant back pass A rare one from Stott. She's usually so accurate. Could he get away with it? Now that long ball forward looking for McNamara. It's read well by Anderson. It's one of the fascinating things with McNamara. Any kind of technical player will draw a lot of fouls, will cop a few knocks. Of course, McNamara's injury history, she's had 3 ACLs. And it's one of the things she said when she came back from the third one. She was going to try and seek out the contact. She wasn't going to be scared of it. She was going to seek it out, and sometimes she gives as good as she gets.
And I think you need to. I think if you've got any type of hesitation, particularly coming back from ACLs as well, you do have to be really positive. It's almost like sometimes if you do hesitate, then you're allowing yourself to be on the end of some of those stronger challenges. But I've had 2 ACLs myself. Holly McNamara, the way she has come back from this third one, I think she is in the best form of her life. I think she's come back a more mature footballer.
That's incredible, isn't it? She missed the first 5 games of last season and still took out the golden boot.
Yeah. But she's an out-and-out goal scorer. We know her qualities, those balls in behind, one-on-one with the keeper. That's like Holly McNamara 101.
So they're trying to come forward there. It was cut out by Sado. Stott under pressure from Badawia. Sees it out of play. Throw up the line. Glory will be looking to intercept here. This is the kind of area they want City to have possession just for that. Sado on Songkham. Can't get it past Apostolakis. 18 Keane. Couldn't quite find Uchendu. Now Dalton. Driving forward. A little bit of a battle there between True and Taylor Otto. True adjudged to have committed the foul on Otto.
Not happy about it as well. Bronte True, she was battling away there, had a couple of bites at it, came from behind. Yeah, I think that may have been the right decision. Well, could have gone either way, to be honest. I thought Bronte True did well staying with that ball.
And they're not relenting here, the Glory. High press continuing. But City will look to exploit the gaps. McNamara driving forward to Jan McKenna, coming back to cover.
And they're the ones Perth have got to be careful of, making those mistakes in their own defensive third, because that transition and the power and pace and ability of Holly McNamara to really take that ball on, if it had just sat up, you know, she nearly had a clear run onto goal.
Turner's throw. And for Buttress. Play it back to McKenna. Instead, it'll be McNamara who will look to reset play for City. Nice turn from Turner. Buttress beats one. Danny Buttress went for the strike herself on an acute angle. That's the target.
Buttress is so dangerous down that left-hand side. Johnson's going to have a tough day at the office, really trying to keep up with her. Was trying to win the ball. Buttress did have a little look across goal. There was Inchendu, but she thought the angle was maybe better for her to take a shot. No, I think that ball across goal would have been a better opportunity.
Tish McKenna thought about shooting herself. Instead, played it to Uchendu. Now the ball for Keane. Sado just got a toe in. And that duel between Buttress and Johnston is going to be fascinating. They played against each other in the MPLW Victoria this season. Johnston for Preston, while Buttress won the MPLW Victoria gold medal for Bulleen. So familiar opponents.
Yeah, it'll be a good battle out there today, I think, for Johnston, understanding that Buttress using her pace, and she's going to try and take her on every single time. I like that Johnston's actually gone to try and win the ball. But obviously with that, with Buttress, if she cuts back inside, as she did previously, then you're leaving yourself really open.
Jan McKenna up to Songkham. Well controlled. Now the delivery from Songkham. Badawia This is the target, but again, it's Perth Glory who are piling on the pressure.
Great delivery again from Fontoncam into Badawia. She's such a quality, technically gifted player. Has struggled with injuries, but that's a wonderful ball. Badawia did really well, having Taylor Otto right behind her, putting some pressure on her to get on a header onto that ball.
Melbourne City is still only one shot on goal, so while they've looked dangerous themselves, it's been the Glory who've had the chances again. Mirez almost getting herself into some trouble. This is the way that City will like to play, though, and the Glory know that. There's a long ball looking for McNamara, the speed of McNamara.
Yeah, and Misha Anderson did well. Went with Holly McNamara, but then obviously the danger is once Holly McNamara takes off and gets past you, she's absolutely going to burn you for pace. It was good covering in the end, but really important once Melbourne City break through the first line of pressure, that Perth Glory get themselves nice and compact quickly.
Do you think that a secondary advantage of this high press, not only creating opportunities for themselves with these turnovers, but perhaps it forces Melbourne City to think more about the long ball, which, yes, it's always very dangerous when McNamara's up there, and 18 Keane as well, very quick, but maybe not exactly the build-up play that they would like.
Yeah, when usually you got two defenders against one attacker, so you've got a rest defender, always one behind, one in front to pick up those balls, to put pressure on Holly McNamara if she's got her back towards goal. Also, the other advantage is if you do win the ball high up, sorry Taryn, if you do win the ball higher up the pitch, you've got players around the ball, so you're attacking with numbers.
Just for a moment, I thought I'd be cutting you off there, but Mirez recovered, misread the initial bounce.
There's been a couple of distribution mirrors as we've had a couple of moments for her today. She's an absolute quality keeper and a really important focal point to start and be involved in the Melbourne City attack and build up as well.
Her second season with Melbourne City, the Spanish keeper, former youth Spanish international. She did improve as last season went on. Just today is being put under an enormous amount of pressure.
Well, that's also something that the analysts look at. Okay, how we're pressing. Who do we really want to put pressure on? I think for me, I wouldn't be trying to put too much pressure on a Rebecca Stott.
Well, speaking of pressure, Uchendu putting Theresa Morrissey in the Glory defence and the large amounts of it, and it's City who come away with the ball. McNamara tried to go for a shot or a pass or a cross, either way, couldn't control it, went to ground, and out for a goal kick.
It's a risk and reward, as you said, Taryn, exactly that. The weight of the pass, the side that you're playing to your teammate is so important. The movement patterns, making sure that players aren't standing still, making sure that you're working towards someone who can be facing forward and play the ball forward.
We'll both have the advantage of, for someone who it's her third A-League women's game, Theresa Morrissey is completely unfazed by the pressure, and that's the advantage. She's a little bit older, 25 years of age, has that connection. Here's McNamara in space. Holly McNamara to open it for City, and just like that, for all of Glory's pressure, it is Holly McNamara yet again who makes no mistake.
Perth will be absolutely gutted to concede in that matter after all the positive pressure that they've been putting on Melbourne City. But this is the quality of Melbourne City and Holly McNamara. It's a long ball. It's a contested ball in here. Something's helped on. Holly McNamara is 2 yards behind Anderson, can get in front of her and just hit that ball into the far corner of the net.
Her fifth goal of the season in game number 6. And you feel like she's not even playing at her best this season, but she just scores goals for fun.
Yeah, and also that understanding. Leah Davison didn't give her credit on the replay for that lovely ball. First time, she knows Holly Mack, where she's going to play. She knows her strengths. She just helped that ball in between the two Perth Glory defenders. Holly Mack from 2 yards behind strides onto it and puts it into the back of the net.
Fantastic way for Holly McNamara to celebrate her 50th appearance in City Blue as well. That's including Asian Women's Champions League appearances in that number. City looking to make it too quickly. Buttress into McNamara, into Uchendu. Coming across this time was Julia Sato, who can clear. There's nothing wrong with the game plan from Glory. They've got to shake themselves off and keep trying.
That's absolutely right, but there's a bit more of a spring in the step of Melbourne City, a little bit more tempo and intensity already to their play.
Nadine Keane managing to keep that one in. Still got a job to do to get it into a dangerous area. Uchendu's there with her. Into Davidson. Uchendu across for McNamara and Buttress. Oh, the offside flag was raised. That was beautiful Melbourne City football.
That was wonderful. It's what we're used to with Melbourne City. Lovely combination plays. Runners, Leah Davison, love that little scan over her shoulder. She already knew Uchendu was going to return the run. Holly McNamara always trying to get in front of that near post to try and flick that ball on. But Perth Glory really have to switch back on here. They started well. That's a big blow for them to concede. But now they just need to get their confidence back and try and continue building the tempo again, because already you can see Melbourne City have upped the ante a little bit.
Melbourne City, of course, came into this game as favourites. Perth Glory, though, were arguably the better team, or they certainly had the momentum in the first 20 minutes. But then McNamara scores a goal like that, and suddenly, as you say, Ish, City well and truly on top.
And you do feel it's a bit of a blow. If I'm a Perth Glory player, I'm like, far out. We've done so well in the first 25 minutes. We've been executing a game plan so well. We've got a clearance out, a couple of contested balls back in, and then Holly McNamara puts it in the back of the net.
Only the second shot at goal for City. Buttress had the first. Glory again, though. They're not giving up that plan. You imagine there's more opportunities in it for them as the game goes on. They've still had more possession than City, which is highly unusual in and of itself. Nadine Keane going to ground. Glory are not taking a backward step with some of these challenges. Julia Sato and Keane may well be hurt here.
Yeah, they've had a decent battle, physical battle so far, haven't they? Julia Sato, Aideen Keane, some heavy challenges. A bit of a raised elbow there. I think Aideen Keane may be feeling it on the side of her head. Nothing more but a chat from the referee, Beck Mackey. But Stoddy's in there just checking on Aideen Keane as well.
I guess everything else about the challenge aside, is that stopping a promising attack? Are we quite in yellow card territory yet? I mean, Perth Glory, again, they have not taken a backward step at all when it comes to those fouls. 6 committed already. Once again, Apostolakis with a lot of work to do and clears it out for a Glory throw. Dalton across to Cassidy. Played out to True. Good first touch from True, but how about that from Danielle Turner, the 34-year-old veteran. 192 Everton appearances, 72 Villa appearances. She knows exactly what to do in that situation.
Yeah, Turner showing all of her experience there, just seeing that ball out, getting herself between the ball and Bronte True on that right-hand flank.
Been a really underrated signing, Danielle Turner. Just quietly goes about her business and does it well. Keane running into a little bit of trouble. Uchendu with the overlapping run. Uchendu not able to get past McKenna. Apostolakis assessing her options. Davidson motioning at Uchendu and then says, okay, yes, I will start to run and perhaps create an option. Ball does come to Uchendu. Can't get to Keane before it's cut out by Sato. This is where you need a long throw specialist. And it looks like it is exactly what Apostolakis is going to try and do. She'll go short instead, Uchendu. Nice turn, goes to ground, no foul. Take 2 for the throw.
Yeah, thought there could have been a foul on Uchendu, but referee decided to play advantage. Ball went out for a throw-in.
Uchendu again. Wins out. Eventually cleared away. So take 4, I think, from this side. A little bit of a holding pattern here. Stephen Peters pacing, a bit of stress on his face. Life of a coach, it's never easy, it's never simple.
Definitely helps with the aging process, Taryn. Definitely. I think what Stephen Peters has done, and the adjustment, I think, of the formation and the way that Perth have played, understanding that how he wanted to play wasn't quite working. Players were lacking a bit of confidence because of some results. And I respect the change mid-season into a back 4, and the Perth team does look more comfortable, and they've got a couple of wins. I think they're a great team at home. I think trying to improve that record away from home is a big task for Stephen Peters.
Well read by McKenna for City. Apostolakis can play it back to Otto. As soon as Mires gets the ball, you see the Glory players just getting a little bit interested, trying to cut it off. Here comes City again. Nice ball over the top. Apostolakis to run onto it. McNamara's in the middle. Aiden Keane in support as well. Apostolakis, nice footwork up against McKenna. Manages to get it away. Cassidy under an enormous amount of pressure. Letitia McKenna from distance. Foul was committed in the build-up. Leah Davidson doesn't agree.
Of course she doesn't agree. Was putting lots of pressure on Davidson and McKenna, but that lovely passage of play down this right-hand side from Melbourne City actually started from Rebecca Stott. She did what we do see Stotty do. She pushed into midfield. She played in the middle of 2 of the Perth Glory players, was able to receive the ball, turned forward, and then started that beautiful attack down this right-hand side.
That's one of the great strengths of Rebecca Stott. Game 150 in this competition today. She has that ability to be a playmaker as much as just a defender.
And that is very much the City way. And I think that's modern football today. I wouldn't just say that's specific to Melbourne City, that all the defenders are part of the attack. You know, attack is the best form of defence, and maintaining possession allows you to build from the back and give yourself an opportunity and create more chances.
Rebecca Stott consistently has amongst the most progressive passes in the competition, and she's a centre back, so that tells you all you need to know. Lovely touch from Apostolakis. Morrissey out to it smartly. Uchendu on the follow-up. Can't get the right connection. Again, it just seemed like the Red Sea parted for Melbourne City. That time, not able to capitalise.
And some wonderful forward runs beyond the ball. Apostolakis coming inside, inverting her run, getting herself more central. Holly McNamara there as well. Morrissey did excellent coming out to smother that opportunity, but something that Perth need to get a handle on quickly is when they get dragged out, if Uchendu stays and comes forward to get the ball at feet, then there's players that are actually running in behind in those gaps that are created between the Perth Glory defenders.
It's exactly what we were saying. That passage of play started from their own half, and that is what City do.
That's exactly right. It's trying to pull players out of their positions and create pockets of space. And that's with combination of short passes, and then they look to go long in behind when the opportunity arises.
Buttress against Johnston, and True coming back in support. This time Johnston wins out. Buttress gets the touch required and is fouled in the process. Johnston a bit too exuberant. So is that 1-1 in the last 30 seconds between those two?
Buttress is just one of those players because of her pace. She just gets that final touch as you think, yep, I'm definitely going to win the ball here. It happened down when she was coming past Johnston in the 18-yard box, which could have had more contact with it, but her ability to just get that last final little touch in and draw the foul is really impressive.
Still only 18 years of age, one of the most exciting players to have emerged from the first part of this season. And Letitia McKenna standing over this free kick for City. Players hold their breath. McKenna's delivery goes for goal. Never really hitting the target. Perhaps was looking for that near post run.
McKenna definitely aiming for that near post and hoping that her Melbourne City players are running across it diagonally in front of the near post to just help the ball on past the goalkeeper into the net. Just didn't quite get the execution right.
She's got form. She scored a stunning free kick from a very similar area last season against the Brisbane Roar. So she can pull it off direct from the free kick. That one looked a little bit wider though than you would normally expect.
And that's the beauty of trying to either hit the near post for runners to come on, and you see it a lot, or trying to aim for that far post, curling it out and around. And if everyone misses it and the goalkeeper misses it, then you've got a chance for it to sneak into the back of the net.
Tova turning away well. He wins a foul as well. And Gloria, a little passage of possession after the last 10 minutes has been really all Melbourne City. Back to 50-50 possession. Gloria were dominating that for the first 10 minutes. Song Cam still going. Didn't hear the referee's whistle. I think that was a fairly obvious foul on Apostolakis.
Yeah, came in from behind, cleaned her up the ball. I mean, it wasn't the best touch from Apostolakis. Actually, oh, she got a little touch. Take that back. Sorry, Alexa. But I think in midfield, who I'm really impressed with for City at the moment is Leah Davison. I think Leah Davison is actually really upping the tempo of actually pushing on to Cassidy in that midfield area, Izzy Dalton as well, and putting pressure on them higher up the pitch, which wasn't necessarily happening in the first maybe 10, 15 minutes. But it is starting to make all the difference. So McKenna and Davison give away that free kick, but really start harassing and putting pressure on the central Perth Glory midfielders.
24 years of age now, Leah Davidson, raised in Queensland. 4 caps for the Matildas as well over the last 12 months or so. So in the mix maybe for that Asian Cup squad, maybe more so if it's a 26-player squad. She's just one of those players that gets the job done. City again continuing to play with fire. Just at the moment they're containing it well.
Yeah, we've definitely been blessed of seeing players like Leah Davison develop their football through the Ninja A-League. I mean, she's such a quality player. See her at Brisbane Roar, now with Melbourne City, having a breakthrough with the Matildas in and around, but she is a quality technician and tactical player, and a player that if people come along and watch the games live, you will actually appreciate it more than watching it on TV, because you'll be able to see her ability to continue scanning and her movement off the ball.
Turner's throw. Uchendu will win out. Ball back across the face. Too much on it for Aideen Keane to get a hold of. Aideen Keane has been in the wars in this first 38 minutes. That was another one, the third blow to the head that she has received. She's able to laugh that one off.
Yeah, a little rebound off the head. She's had a couple of knocks, some strong challenges between herself and Julia Sardo. And just keeps bouncing back.
She's a tough cookie.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, I'm loving the battle between her and Julia Sardo. They're really getting stuck into each other, similar to Johnson and Boutros on the other side.
It's great to see the City fans out in force, making noise. Again, a beautiful day to watch football. Here's Keane driving inside, was looking to find Boutros, but too much on the ball. The right idea. Anderson to Tovar, being surrounded by Melbourne City players, but manages to get it away to Morrissey, and now Sardo. Dalton, Montichu has switched sides. This is out to Apostolakis. McNamara dropping deep. Uchendu. Davidson. These are passing patterns that they have honed on the training ground all season. Not quite coming off that time. High press may well work though for City eventually. Glory just get it out of there as best they can. McNamara again was dropping deep, and Rebecca Stott taking the space in front of her. That's another advantage of her being able to go on those runs, is that Glory isn't prepared for it. They're not set up for those runs from centre back. Keane in behind for McNamara. Taken away by Anderson, and we'll have to stop play here because in making that challenge...
Yeah, it looks like Holly McNamara's boot, sorry, Taryn, trailing boot. Anderson came flying across there, really put her body on the line. Holly McNamara just catching her with the bottom of her studs on her head. Or maybe her knee, potentially. Hard to see, but she looks in a little bit of pain there.
She is managing a smile with the physio, so that's one of those things that is an occupational hazard of football. Really no one's fault. It was a fantastic challenge, actually, from
really,
Anderson.
Yeah, it was really well timed, and she had to make it. She knows that Holly McNamara has that pace. Probably was going to look to whip the ball in first time across goal with the angle that she was making that run. But hopefully she's okay and able to continue. There's definitely the concussion check happening. Obviously, player welfare is the priority in any of these situations, so it's good to take a bit more time to make sure that Misha Anderson is okay to play on.
Another look at that challenge that's led to the stoppage. Yeah, perhaps a knee from McNamara. That's got to hurt. Well, hopefully Anderson's okay to continue. If she's not, Oninechi Zog is on the bench. She wasn't ready to play 90 minutes, Zog, but would normally be first choice at centre-back, so a handy player that could potentially come on. But we did see the thumbs up from Anderson, so hopefully that means she's okay.
Yeah, great to see. Great commitment in the challenge. And good to see her recover and get back on the pitch.
Only 20 years of age, Anderson, making her 17th competition appearance today. She's from Perth, Joondalup City Junior. Very even in the battle of midfield at the moment. 29 duels, one apiece. Very combative game so far as the Glory come forward through True. Offside flag raised.
Yeah, I was wondering whether the assistant referee was having a little trouble seeing that sun. Looks like it's directly in her eyes on the opposite side. That run of Bronte True. I like the attempt at trying to probe. It's a lovely run in between the two defenders and a wonderful ball. It was a close call, and I understand why the assistant referee did give it.
Assistant referee always with the best angle to make those decisions.
Yeah, it's probably tough when you've got the sun in your eye and then you're looking from the sunshine into the shade. That actually makes it quite challenging. You tend to see in some of these games all the players start coming towards the shade because it's easier for them to actually be able to see the ball and get closer to it. You can see those players on the far side of the pitch when everyone's coming in a little bit closer.
Well, Bronte True came over to this side. Susan Fonsonkamp started in the shady side and then they've swapped. Do you think True said, no, I've had enough of being in the sun, Susan, you have a go?
That's right. I've had enough of looking in the sun. Let me have a go over here. It can be quite challenging, depending on what the angle of the sun is, obviously. Both teams have to deal with it.
Well, we're hearing that there'll be 3 minutes of stoppage time in this first half. There's been a few stoppages. 18 Keane, the victim of a couple of them, and Mitchell Anderson as well just then, who is back okay on the pitch. Can the Glory fashion an opportunity before the break to go level? They won't there. No foul given by the referee, and there's confirmation. 3 minutes of additional time. Still plenty of time for either team to create a chance.
Really important for Perth to continue doing what they're doing with the game plan, pressing high, trying to keep possession, put pressure on Melbourne City, but really important for them to not concede before this halftime break, because I do think they've got a really good opportunity to reset at halftime, continue with the game plan and come out fresh for the second 45.
A goal either way would be massive at this stage.
And it's usually where we see them scored, the 5 minutes before halftime and in the additional injury time and the 5 minutes after halftime. Tends to be teams sometimes might lose a little bit of focus, a little bit of concentration, and when the opposition can be quite susceptible to conceding.
Apostolakis' throat. Uchendu manages to get it down to Keane, who keeps the ball in, goes to ground. Thought she was fouled. Again, not given by the referee. And Perth Glory will take out from the fact that only one of the 12 goals they've conceded this season has been in the final 30 minutes of game. So if they can keep themselves in it up until that point, they'll be confident that they can see the game out in a defensive sense at least. But then the challenge becomes finding a way through this Melbourne City side. And high press there from Fonsonkamp suggests they're going to keep trying to do what they've been doing all game and take advantage of City when City are in possession in their own third.
Perth just need to be careful playing those balls into the central midfield area with the likes of Izzy Dalton with her back to goal. Leah Davison is having a little bite at that ball. Uchendu's lurking around as well as Holly McNamara.
Sardo not able to keep that ball in. As Julia Sardo, a former Melbourne City player, made 2 appearances back in 2020-21. Started her career off in Perth, went to City, a couple of years at Western United, now back at Perth, and it's been pretty good today, Sardo, in this season. McKenna under pressure. Uchendu winning out to Davidson. Davidson onto McNamara. There was only ever going to be one result when Holly McNamara got the ball at her feet there just before the break. City 2 goals to the good.
Great work from Uchendu getting that ball. Lovely forward run again from Leah Davidson. You can't allow Holly McNamara to be unmarked in the box on her own. Morrissey trying to play this ball back in here. Pressure from Uchendu. McKenna, I think in that situation, just try and get the ball out of play. You've got a minute to go. But Leah Davidson harassing, putting pressure on, winning that ball, playing the ball across, Uchendu winning it. Nice little touch. Davidson first time into Holly McNamara. She's not going to miss from there.
Great awareness from Leah Davidson, because a lot of players would have shot themselves there, but she knew, Leah Davidson, on 0 goals for Melbourne City in her long career. She saw Holly McNamara next to her and said, you can have it.
There you go. I'll put it on a platter for you. But Tiana McKenna will be frustrated and disappointed that she just, I think for me, this point of the half, just get the ball out of play. Try and get it as far up the pitch as possible away from your goal.
Glory looking to perhaps have one last chance in this first half. You said it, Ish, conceding just before the break. It's a hammer blow for the Glory, who started the half so positively, but they'll have to go into the sheds. 2 goals down thanks to that player there, Holly McNamara, with a brace. She goes equal top of the Golden Boot standings. Holly McNamara in front of goal just will not be denied, and it means that at halftime it's Melbourne City 2, Perth Glory 0. So let's take a look at how this half has played out. It was a half where Perth Glory-ish, they were the team that started out on top.
They employed the high press. Stephen Peters spoke about the high press, and it was working well. They got some good opportunities. Rolla Badawia getting that ball into the centre of the 18-yard box. Bronte True just trying to keep it down, get her foot around the ball. Under pressure from the Melbourne City defenders. It was a really strong start.
And they kept piling on the pressure from Songkham in the centre of everything.
They were winning the ball back high up the pitch. They did have numbers around the ball, but Boutros and Johnson on this left-hand side for City. It was a good battle. Boutros just trying to be nice and positive, take things on. But this, Leah Davidson for me, that one-touch pass, it came from a Perth Glory trying to play out and then having a goal kick, some contested balls in midfield, but that from Leah Davidson onto the run of Holly McNamara. There's only going to be one end result, and that is the ball hitting the back of the net.
That is what she does, Holly McNamara. Well, if you'd bet your house on that finish, maybe you'd bet your mansion, your boat, your car on the next one. This was fantastic work from Uchendu to win the ball back. Davidson and McNamara did the rest.
Well, and Morrissey had a look at going out that right-hand side, decided to come back into McKenna under pressure from Uchendu. She didn't get rid of the ball. Uchendu did wonderfully well. Little flick into Leah Davidson, who had progressed forward and unmarked in the box. Again, the end result is always going to be the ball hitting the back of the net.
So here are how the stats look at halftime. Remarkably, Perth Glory still in control of possession, but it's City in the lead.
And I think City worked their way back into the game after what was a really good Perth Glory start. A shame for them to concede a goal so late in that half, but it's now time for them to reset and continue with that game plan from the first 45 minutes.
Well, plenty more to come in the second half. At halftime, it is Melbourne City 2, Perth Glory 0.
Are you Australia's safest driver? All Aussie drivers 18 years and over can take the AAMI driving test now for your chance to win big prizes. Follow the QR code below for your chance to win. For full terms and conditions, see aami.com.au/AAMI driving test. Sizzling conditions here at Amy Park, our second home doubleheader of the season so far. Things going pretty well, and they're about to get a lot better here at half-time. I'm standing by with a couple of Melbourne City fans, because we're about to take them through the City Keepy Uppy Challenge. Who am I here with? Crystal and Ollie. All right, Crystal, you're up first. Let's explain it to everyone here at Amy Park. Here we have our football. Both Ollie and Crystal have a Melbourne City football for the City Keepy Uppy Challenge. Both of you guys are going to have 30 seconds. We're going to bring it up on the screen very, very shortly. Crystal, you're up first. How are you feeling? Bit nervous. All right, you're going to have 30 seconds. Whoever has most Keepy Uppies at the end of their 30 seconds will win. How does that sound? Ollie, that makes sense? Perfect. All right, Crystal, let's get you to the 30 seconds on the screen. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Away you go, Crystal. This is the City Keepy Uppy Challenge. Still 25 seconds to go. This is where composure on the big stage means absolutely everything. 15 seconds to go here at Amy Park. Keep going, Crystal. Perfect conditions for football here at half time. Let's counter in City fans from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 12. This is score, Crystal. Right, we're going to stop it. Let's stop at 12. How are we feeling? Not happy. All right, not happy.
Welcome back to Amy Park in Melbourne, where it is currently Melbourne City leading Perth Glory 2-0, thanks to 2 goals to none other than Holly McNamara. Ish Ferguson, what did you make of that first 45 minutes of action?
Well, it was a strong start from Perth Glory, employing the high press against Melbourne City. But that person again, Holly McNamara, scored midway through the first half, and then through a Tian McKenna mistake, scored very late on to give them a 2-0 lead.
Well, there's so much action going on around the competition. We caught up recently with Central Coast Mariners defender Liz Barwick-Gray. Let's hear from her and get to know her a little bit better. So the two teams make their way out to Polytech Stadium.
I thought A-League was done for me when I was a bit younger, but I'm feeling good, I'm feeling strong, I'm enjoying my football more than ever.
Sakala's here on the ball, looking for White and Barwick-Gray. That's a good little duel within the game already, and a couple of wins for the Mariners centre-back so far.
Coming into this team and this environment, it's really inspiring, and it's a real privilege to be around such quality and such talent. It's definitely changed a lot, but for the better. With a professional environment, you're more likely to play well. If you are surrounded by people that want to give you the best, then you want to give them your best as well. So the more that we can give that to our players, and as senior players as well, ensure that the younger players know that that's what they deserve, then we can continue to see progression in the game. When the younger players come and watch us play, that's an opportunity to inspire the next generation to be us, but to be more than what we are as well at this moment. I remember when I was a young fan watching the men's A-League, because that's all that there was. The Matildas and things that were around at my time were my idols, and now they've gone on to be the change makers. So it's just a generational thing that we want the younger players that are coming through to have it better than we do now, and we just have to keep that at the forefront of our mind. I've spent some time working with NASCA, National Aboriginal Sporting Chance Academy. They do amazing work with Aboriginal communities in the Northern Territory, and that's an opportunity for me to give back in a way, and to something I'm really passionate about. The kids in those communities in the Northern Territory are so talented, and they have so much to give. So it's something I've done when I've had the opportunity to take time off work, and it's something I really enjoy doing, something I'm passionate about. It's just an opportunity to give back. It would involve going out to rural communities in the Northern Territory. The place I was located was called Ali Kurung. Essentially, we'd spend a week there in community. We'd work with the school to attend classes and ensure the kids were, right into their homework and doing, all of their work in class. And then we'd spend time playing with them in lunchtime and before and after school, and just really engaging them and showing them that school is a really important part of what you do, and especially sport is a really important way to build confidence. and to show that, you know, you can be yourself and you can put your best thing out there. If things don't go your way, that's okay. We all make mistakes, but it's about what you do next. That mentality is something that I take into my game, and if I can pass that on to younger players and to people in community as well, then of course I'll do that.
Well, fantastic to get to know different players throughout the competition. And today in Melbourne, these fans have seen a masterclass from Holly McNamara. 2 goals today. That means that Melbourne City have a 2-goal advantage.
It was a wonderful finish from Holly, but a beautiful, precise ball from Leah Davidson. First time, played it in between McKenna and Anderson. Holly McNamara came from about 2 yards behind, steamed in front of him and smashed it into the back of the net.
And then this one, the result of a fantastic press from Uchendu, great awareness from Davidson, and McNamara again.
Yeah, and I thought McKenna should have just gotten rid of that. This was late in the half. They were only 1 goal down. Leah Davidson further up the pitch as well again, but you leave Holly McNamara unmarked, and the end result is probably going to be conceding a goal.
It has been a goal-filled round of Ninja A-League action already. And the result, probably on the minds of both teams at the moment, is that 3-3 between the Mariners and Melbourne Victory. The Mariners were 3 goals to the good. Victory came back in stoppage time to draw. So even if City do manage to extend their lead, it is never, ever safe in this competition. Well, join us after the break to see if Perth Glory can get back in this one against Melbourne City.
Say hello to the Ninja Slushie, the easy, convenient way to make frozen drinks at home. No ice means no watered down drinks. No blending means smooth, perfect texture. Just pour, slush, and enjoy. 5 one-touch programs for any drink you want. Transform almost anything. Enjoy perfect results every time. You can make it with the Ninja Slushie.
Here they come, City fans. Can you play takes over and welcome back onto the pitch for the start of the second half. Your Melbourne City. Game for Holly McNamara has us to a 2-goal lead so far. City fans, ahead of the start of the second half. Let us see you make some noise. Let's kick it off, Soundside. Come on. Drop that goal.
Well, welcome back for the second half between Melbourne City and Perth Glory, where it is currently the home side, Melbourne City, leading 2-0. There's a halftime sub being readied for the Glory as well as they look to turn this around. It may well be injury enforced on Inechi Zog, coming on after missing last week with a quad strain. Not fit enough to play the full 90 minutes today. She's replacing Misha Anderson, who of course copped that head knock towards the end of the first half. Stephen Peters, well, plenty to think about for him in that Perth Glory dugout. They look to be executing their game plan of a high press to perfection in the first 12-15 minutes. They had more possession than Melbourne City as we see that sub go through, but they weren't able to capitalise, and Holly McNamara, well, she did what she does best. 2 goals in the first half to help Melbourne City to this 2-goal lead, and it is an uphill battle for the Glory now to get anything out of this game. But if the Ninja A-League has shown us anything this weekend, it's that anything is possible. And the way that the Glory played, well, they're certainly not out of this contest yet. It'll be Melbourne City to kick us off in this second half. We are back underway. Perth Glory looking to overcome a 2-goal deficit. Melbourne City looking to continue on their merry way and rise up the ladder with their games in hand. Ish Ferguson on commentary once again for this second half. Ish, what do you imagine that Stephen Peters would have said at halftime to his Perth Glory troops?
Well, I'd like to think it was really positive because they did execute the game plan.
As 18 Keane wins the ball, plays it into Uchendu. We can't even talk for a moment because Melbourne City on the attack again. Uchendu is looking to play in McNamara, but Theresa Morrissey alert to the danger.
Yeah, I was just to finish that thought, Taryn, was it had to be positive because they did start incredibly well. They were executing their game plan, talking about a high press. Unfortunate to concede that first goal with Holly McNamara. It was a lovely ball through from Leah Davison. I think frustrating to concede the second so late in that second half, which does mean they've got a lot of work to do. But I think there were signs of improvement and signs of what they can do when they execute their game plan well.
Yeah, Perth Glory will take plenty of positives from that performance. Keeping in mind, this is a team that both times that these sides played last season, Melbourne City scored 5.
Yeah, well, it's what Melbourne City do, don't they? They're just relentless. They're relentless, even under pressure in that first 15, 20 minutes.
Well, Badawia, an opportunity here to get in behind. Roller Badawia, one-on-one with Stott. How good is Rebecca Stott? 150 league appearances today. Takes the ball up, wins a foul. Easy as you like.
Rebecca Stott is just a living legend of football. We have the privilege of watching Stotty in her career in the Ninja A-League over so many years. I had the pleasure of seeing her as quite a youngster at Brisbane Roar, and she had that potential. She was just work rate, attitude, effort, application. Stotty really was a complete player, and I think we see that with every game. She can run, she can pass, she reads the game incredibly well.
True. In for Badawia, a little bit of a heavy first touch meant that she couldn't get it under control on her second. Stott was once again there. Well, the Glory hoping to start the second half the way they started the first. Lots of possession. They outpossessed Melbourne City in that first half, which is highly unusual. Kamara couldn't get away from Zog.
And lost a boot for her troubles as well. Zog starting nice and positive, wanting to put pressure on, not allow Holly Mack any time or space. Nice and physical there, getting herself between the ball and McNamara, earning herself a free kick.
She looked at her boot then, as if to say, what did I do? My boot's been taken off.
Exactly. Come on, ref, my boot's off. What's going on? Yeah, it was a good little tussle there. And just back to Rebecca Stott, I know I said we're a living legend in this country. Rebecca Stott, New Zealand international. She's just a living legend as a player and as a human as well. I think playing 150 games across the number of years that Rebecca has, the first year of the A-League Women's was back in 2008-9. And so to see her still continuing to be a leader and one of the most experienced players in this league is just incredible.
It was one of the most remarkable stories in this competition. Recovered from Hodgkin's lymphoma when she was over playing for Brighton and Hove Albion in the UK. Came back 6 months later, was playing NPLW football once again. Came back to City, a place that she considers home. Here come the Glory. Johnston will reel that one in across the face of goal. Perth Glory have won back. Bronte True at the back post. Great endeavour from Grace Johnston to make the goal. Great early signs for Perth.
This is a great time for Perth to get one goal back. This right-hand side, that is a wonderful ball into Johnston. Got in behind Boutros, just helped the ball on. Badawia kept Rebecca Stott. Look at that ball from Cassidy. Just wonderful. Lots of backspin on it so Johnston could get onto it. Didn't try and overhit it either. Badawia kept Rebecca Stott busy at that near post. And for a simple tap-in for Bronte True.
Her first goal in Perth Glory colours after coming across from the Western Sydney Wanderers last season. But Johnston will get a lot of the credit for that one.
Well, now she's one up on Boutros on this side. We've said that they've had a nice little attacking defensive battle, but a really good run, overlapping run from Johnston on that right-hand side. And you can already see intensity levels for Perth now. Here we go. We'll see how the momentum shifts, how Melbourne City respond. But a great time for Perth Glory to get one back.
This is the perfect start to the second half for the Glory. They'll be inspired. They know what they can do. They've had plenty of chances in this game. That one's come off. Fonsongkham being released now. Turner will track her run. Fonsongkham tried to go first time, and unfortunately the rebound has hit Fonsongkham on the way through, so City will win the throw.
And it's a great reset for Perth Glory after what was a disappointing end, conceding late in the first half. Nice to get an early goal back. And then you feel like you are definitely back in the game. Only one goal to get you back on level terms, and you can start playing with a bit more freedom and trying to be nice and bold and brave going forward to create chances.
We'll have a look at that expected goals stat. Glory actually leading in that stat. And interestingly, both teams scored with their first shot on target, so you shoot, you score in this game.
Yeah, if someone could pass on that stat down to the dugout so they could relay it onto the players. But it really does help lift you in the first 5 minutes of this second half, being 2-0 down, getting back to 2-1. That's a nice score. Even though you're a goal down, it's still a good score to be at.
Kenner ball played out to Apostolakis. Fantastic run from Apostolakis towards the byline, just past McNamara. Well, it was almost what we saw at one end replicated at the other.
Yeah, and just to that point where I say it's a nice scoreline, obviously, it's usually not a nice scoreline when you're a goal down. However, chasing a game can be a really motivating factor for teams. Trying to protect a lead, and we see it many times in football all around the world, can bring teams undone. So I think for me, I enjoy chasing a game, particularly in this scenario when you're only one goal down.
Final third entries, very even. Perth Glory with one more than City, and again, that passes the eye test of what we've seen out there. Yes, City look dangerous whenever they do get into the front third, but it has been a very, very even game so far, and you just wonder the impact of that goal that City scored just before the break.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen, Taryn, doesn't it? I think first and foremost for Perth, they need to make sure they stay nice and compact at the back, keep trying to press high up the pitch, keep the pressure on Melbourne City, and really force them into trying breaking them down as a compact defensive unit.
Zog also brings a bit of extra leadership out there for the Glory. Again, both of their regular centre-backs not able to start today, Zog and Naomi Chinema in the stands watching today against her former club. Butcherus cutting inside, Danny Butcherus goes to ground. McNamara touched her back in search of Stott, couldn't find her. We might have a stoppage in play here. Taking a look at this again, Sardo, an injury there, but it's Georgia Cassidy who's hopefully does nothing more than cramp. That's usually indicated by the stretching.
Yeah, she's trying to will them to pull her toes back. A few unsavoury words to make them do it a little bit quicker. Yeah, it does look like a little bit of cramp, which is a real shame for only 55 minutes into this match for Georgia Cassidy to be struggling with cramp already. There you go, the physio's gonna give her a little bit of pickle juice as well, try and help with that, but she's a really crucial player for Perth Glory, and you really don't want her to be struggling through with cramp for the rest of the match.
Based on the way she's being laughed at, I think it's okay. But we'll take another look at this goal. Industry from Grace Johnston. And then Bronte True, it was Alexia Apostolakis she was able to just ghost in front of.
Yeah, she did really well. She kind of went out and then came back in. Apostolakis was trying to scan over her shoulder, but it was a lovely through ball from Georgia Cassidy. She was in a reasonably deep position, saw that run, great run by Grace Johnson down that right-hand side, which set it all up in the first place.
Well, you mentioned it's 55 minutes and Cassidy's cramping. She's been in and out of the side through injury this season, but could it also be a result of the travel, perhaps? Obviously, Perth have, along with the Wellington Phoenix, have the most grueling away match schedule of any team.
I would say that, but they've had 2 home games. So if they're off the back of a few longer trips across the country and over the Tasman, yeah, absolutely. But I think in this case, no, it shouldn't be a huge contributing factor for this match.
And Tova able to intercept that pass. City will have a throw from an attacking position. Turner into Uchendu. And that's good work from Tian McKenna. Turner again. Uchendu again. Looking to find those passing patterns to get the ball in the penalty area. They're being forced slightly backwards by the Glory defence. Turner just trying to lift it into the box. McNamara won't get there in front of Zog.
It was good pressing by McKenna. Came out, tried to close that ball down, put Danielle Turner under pressure, which resulted in a goal kick for Perth. And Stephen Peters, I think, should be reasonably happy. A really strong start to this second half. A good reset at half-time.
So Teresa Morrissey with the goal kick for the Glory. Just trying to launch it into midfield. It's won by City. Butcherus, Johnston again. They're going at it. Johnston happy to concede the throw. It's always wonderful to see these kinds of duels. 2 players, 2 young players. Such a future ahead of both of them. Chendu couldn't quite get a touch on it. City still pressing. McNamara. Bit of a scuffed shot and it's cleared away, but only as far as McKenna this time is launched forward. Badawia giving chase forlornly. Things have settled down a little bit. Perhaps Melbourne City trying to take some of the temperature out of the game. Glory will keep pressing. But is that another contributing factor? Perhaps this high press. It is a hot day in Melbourne. surely has to lead to some fatigue as Apostolakis driving into space. Her pass that was intended for Keane deflected, although that clearance from Morrissey is straight at Keane. So City will get another bite at this. 18 Keane across to Apostolakis. Searching for options, will opt to retain possession. Davidson for Keane. Trying to chop back inside, beats Sato, still Keane. Well read by Zog. That's what she adds in that back line. Still City go at it again. Davidson, ball in the middle, it's come all the way to Buttress. Couldn't get the connection that she would have liked.
Yeah, some good build-up and patient build-up play from Melbourne City. They were over this left-hand side, built up through Leah Davidson, who now ended up on the right-hand side, delivering across in. Boutros just not able to get a clean connection on it. Pass through two other players. Really didn't have the angle.
Here comes McNamara into Buttress. Danny Buttress! That is one of the best opportunities she'll have to score her first A-League women's goal. Put on a platter by McNamara.
This is where Perth, Cassidy losing possession to McNamara. Deep in their half, that should be a goal. Just showing needed to be more clinical from Boutros. She had time, she had space. The ball was given to her on a platter by McNamara. And that's a huge opportunity that's gone begging.
She did score twice in the Asian Women's Champions League, so she has scored for Melbourne City, but not in the Ninja A-League yet. She almost had too much time to think about it.
Potentially. I think when that ball comes across, you just are hitting it with as much power as possible and trying to hit it almost back the way it came, back into that near post, but she just got it all wrong and it went straight to Morrissey.
City once again in possession, once again looking to build. McKenna, the ball taken away by Dalton, and then Cassidy was almost caught out in possession.
I mean, I think in here for Boutros, yeah, just didn't catch it. Just didn't catch it correctly. Almost, I think, was trying to deceive the keeper, so to look like she was going back to the near post and then come back towards this far post. For me personally, I think just try and hit it back the way it came with plenty of pace and power so it goes out and around the keeper. But that was a huge opportunity for Danella Boutros.
I just saw again Georgia Cassidy stretching out in back play, so that's a concerning sign for the Glory. You wonder whether another substitution might be incoming, but that passes stat, very even. Passing accuracy, very even. That is much higher than Perth Glory's usual passing accuracy. Usually it's 68.4% coming into this game. So Stephen Peters, plenty of reasons to be happy. He is true. Blocked away by Otto for a Glory corner.
And Georgia Cassidy was just throwing something from the sideline, probably something else for hydration, for her cramps to help. But I think we'll definitely see a change, because that what you don't want is a player suffering from cramp who can't go forward, can't make a tackle, and then is a bit of a liability in the defensive third.
The Glory setting up for this corner now, the first one of the game, remarkably. Dalton's delivery into the mix. Ramirez forced to come out and punch. It was one of those ones aimed to disrupt the keeper and make life difficult with all players there. Here's Dalton. Dalton again, trying to get it across. McKenna comes back to clear, and it'll be another corner.
Well, cramp or no cramp, that was a beautiful ball by Georgia Cassidy first time. Ramirez here, nice and positive, punching that ball out of her area. But a couple of good passages of play down this right-hand side for Perth, keeping the pressure on Melbourne City.
The players just launching themselves at Ramirez. Here they go again, another delivery this time into side netting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a let-off. Really want to try and take advantage of your set pieces, particularly when you're not creating too many clear-cut opportunities.
Well, we had a look at that passing accuracy stat earlier. High 70s for both teams today. Firstly, if you're Michael Matriciani, are you happy with that? But secondly, also for Stephen Peters, are you happy with that?
Well, isn't the comment that Michael Matriani isn't happy too often? He holds him, he has very high standards. He was extremely happy with that Melbourne Derby victory, but there'll be plenty for him to break down, to analyse, to look at in this match. Whenever you concede a goal, there's things to analyse, there's things to work on. Keeping clean sheets is crucial for any team. And depending on what they see about how they've created opportunities, you know, he, again, has never, none of these coaches ever rest, never 100% happy.
Well, he demands perfection, doesn't
Demands
he?
perfection, yeah, absolutely. And you can see that in the attempted style of play for Melbourne City.
I mentioned earlier when we saw Stephen Peters pacing around being a head coach, it does take some years off your life, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It certainly does. The lack of control is probably the biggest thing. You do all the work on the training pitch and then trying to implement that and transfer it from what you've done in training into the match situation.
Here come the Glory once again. Badawea. Fancy footwork. Options in the middle, but plenty of blue shirts as well. Tovar getting away from a couple, unable to get the ball in. Again, City players condensing, making it difficult. McKenna into Dalton. Switch of play to Johnston. And Songcam trying to hold off Turner. Good overlapping run from Johnston. Butcher's tracking her all the way. All the way back to Zog now. Can the Glory build? Can City perhaps win the ball and start an attack of their own?
Yeah, Leah Davidson pressing on, putting pressure in that central midfield.
Now this is dangerous. Morrissey having to take the touch to get away from Davidson there. Now Tian McKenna on a run. Up the line for Badawea. Roller Badawea, the cross. Mirez is there.
Right idea from Roller Badawea and really nice transition from defending to attacking. We've seen how dangerous Roller Badawea can be in these wide areas. She decided to take the ball on early, try and get that ball into the near post in front of Mirez, but Mirez was able to collect it quite comfortably.
She never really lets you down, Roller Badawea. It's her third A-League Women's Club. She had a couple games for Sydney before playing for the Mariners and now here at Perth. The ball taken out of play. Uchendu back to her feet. Looked for a moment as if there might have to be a lengthier stoppage.
Oh, good to see her back on her feet, but just back to Roller Badawea. She's been consistent, she's been entertaining, and also she's been able to score goals at every single club she's played at.
A couple of substitutions now for the Glory, and it's Roller Badawea, one of the players making way for the Glory. Gabby Holler, her American compatriot, will be the player to replace her. Susan Fonsonkamp also making way. Eva Lincoln, local Perth player, a goal scorer herself this season, coming on as well. So Holler and Lincoln looking to add more of a goal scoring threat for the Glory. Clancy Westaway also preparing to come on, but not before Carly Rossbacken will replace Danella Butcher. So Rossbacken playing as a winger this season. We're more used to seeing her as a fullback, but that is where Matriciani has seen her in this campaign. And then that final substitution, Westaway replacing Georgia Cassidy, who has been struggling with cramp. So Cassidy will get a rest, and the young Victorian who debuted early this season against Melbourne Victory gets her shot against Melbourne City today.
Stephen Peters congratulating Georgia Cassidy on what I think has been a good game for her. Big smiles, which I think I love the statement of intent from Stephen Peters as well. Pretty much changing his whole front line, wanting to keep that pressure, getting into the last 20 minutes of this match, trying to chase the game. Only one goal in it, getting some fresh legs on out there to keep the intensity and the pressure on Melbourne City.
So what can the fresh legs for the Glory achieve here? Got one goal to get a point in the next 20 minutes, 2 if they want to leave with 3. And all of that while continuing to keep Melbourne City out for all of their myriad attacking threats up top. That's a nice turn in midfield. McKenna, Uchendu, Keen's ahead of her, and that's where the ball will go. Nadine Keen using her pace up against Zog. Physical challenge, and Zog does exceptionally well again. She's barely put a foot wrong since coming on.
Great covering defence from Zog. She came from her central position just to keep the pressure on Nadine Keen, making sure that she didn't have time or space to try and get a delivery into the box.
Ball into the middle, McNamara, Holly McNamara, blocked by McKenna. A crucial defensive intervention there. Once McNamara got that on her right boot, she could see her name in the headlines for her hat-trick. McKenna did enough. Now here's True, chasing after this one. Mirez safely navigates the situation. Now City once again in transition. McNamara, great first touch. McNamara, fantastic second. What a goal. Holly McNamara completes her hat-trick. Melbourne City regain their 2-goal advantage, and aren't the home fans happy?
Well, again, Rebecca Stott, I have to give her credit. She started that passage of play. She stepped forward, played a beautiful ball into a great position to Leah Davidson, and Leah Davidson on the half turn knows where to put it for Holly McNamara. The weight of the pass, the vision of the pass within 3 touches between McKenna and Johnston, and what a delightful finish by Holly McNamara.
3 assists for Leah Davidson too, just quietly, but how difficult is that finish? Tell us about the technical ability of McNamara here.
It's quality to get it up and to be able to drop down when you're running at that much pace. Holly McNamara only took 1 touch and then just dinked it with her preferred right foot up and over. But I think it's the pace at which she does it. But I do have to keep coming back. Rebecca Stott, again, showing her experience. She thought, right, I want to make something happen here. She received the ball, she took it forward, she progressed it, she broke a line, found Leah Davidson, and that combination within 2 or 3 passes, and they've got another goal.
Holly McNamara scores goals. She always finds a way. Scored all 3 of Melbourne City's goals today. A hat-trick, the first of the season. And City, well, what do you do from here? Do you keep looking to play the same way? Do you keep looking to pile on the goals?
Yeah, I think they keep looking to pile on the goals. They want to score. Even Rebecca Stott here, she's taken a step forward. She wants to make something happen. Feels like the momentum may have shifted in the game, and Stotty decides, right, I'm going to start trying to make things happen myself. But Holly McNamara, great goal scorer, but she's got wonderful players behind her.
Nadine Keen driving into the penalty area. 3 purple shirts in the way. Well, Perth, they made that triple change. They were gearing up for a big push towards the end, and they still will. They still absolutely will. Of course, we know that anything can happen. But again, the way that they've conceded these goals has to be very challenging mentally. They conceded that first goal after a period of being on top. They conceded the second just before half-time. And again, just after they've made these changes ready to launch, they've conceded the third.
Yeah, and it was maybe just a little transition from the players that were the starting 11 and bringing the fresh players on and potentially just switching off for a few seconds. And that's the quality of some of these, well, the Melbourne City players. Like I said, Rebecca Stott, absolute world-class player. Plays it into Leah Davidson, who is also a world-class player. And then they can just put it on a plate for Holly Mack to do her thing. I mean, it was beautiful to watch.
Ella Lincoln looking to get away from Ross Backen. Wins her side a corner, so always the second best result in those situations. Of course, Ross Backen should have no issues in a defensive capacity.
Yeah, she's been kind of plays anywhere in those wide positions, doesn't she? Defensive, can get herself going forward, has that really long loping stride. Has struggled with injury over the course of her career, so maybe that inconsistency is something that you would like to see improve for Carly Ross-Backen.
Here's Dalton delivering for the Glory. Either way, the front post by Turner. Zog will come back and gather. Second ball in for Dalton. Mirez punches away again. There's a real tendency to punch the ball away, Mirez, as opposed to taking the catch. It works that time. Here come the Glory through the middle. Tovar into Holler. Holler being held off fantastically well by Otto, who manages to play it into McNamara, and now picked up by Davidson. Leah Davidson trying to thread the needle. Nadine Keane, but Zog is there. For all the headlines will be about Holly McNamara's hat-trick in her 50th Melbourne City appearance. Leah Davidson, a hat-trick of assists, and she has been so influential.
Yep, she showed her quality. We know what a quality midfielder she is. She's got vision. She's got the understanding of where the pockets of space are, where she can play between the line.
McNamara. This time not able to get past Westaway.
Just back onto Leah Davidson. The first time ball in the first half for Holly Mac's goal, and this second one between two Perth Glory defenders. We can't underestimate the quality of the weight and the angle of the passes that Leah Davidson has given and put in front of Holly Mack. I mean, you want your players, that shows such a level of class and quality. And it's, you know, Holly Mack has done a great job finishing, but how good is it when you got players like that behind you being able to put these passes to you on a platter?
Throw up the line. Comes back in. Not able to win the battle up against 3 or 4 Perth Glory players, to be fair. And that's just calm from Taylor Otto. Really grown into this game. Alongside Rebecca Stott, they know each other's game so well. Davidson. Once again, Leah Davidson driving forward. McNamara, Uchendu. The only thing that's missing in Leah Davidson's performance is a goal of her own. She's never scored for Melbourne City in 86 appearances in the A-League. At least she did score in the Champions League.
I guarantee you, Leah Davidson gets just as much pleasure from being the person who has assisted the goal scorer.
Glory having to be patient here. City just setting up in their defensive blocks. And now McKenna able to get in and intercept. McNamara brought to ground, wins a free kick.
Yeah, good opportunity to just slow the play down here. Shouldn't really be in any rush. Zog still trying to put pressure on the ball as much as possible.
The second substitution for Melbourne City with Devon Jackson, the Kiwi international, coming on to replace Chinazu Uchendu. Uchendu, of course, had such a major role in the second goal just before the break. A very positive outing for her today. City coming again. Turner. On the way back into defence. Otto. There's almost an opportunity for Lincoln there to nip in. Touches in opposition box in the second half, tells A little bit of a story, 13 for City, only 2 for the Glory. Glory did score their goal in this half. But I think as the game's gone on, you can see the intensity begin to drop for the Glory. It's very difficult to maintain this press for 90 minutes.
Absolutely. It's tough to, exactly what you say, maintain a high press for that amount of time.
Another substitute will help them do that. Sarah O'Donoghue replacing the captain, Izzy Dalton, who gives the captain's armband to Grace Johnston. And a good shift from Dalton. O'Donoghue, 20 years of age, originally from Queensland. Spent the off-season in the Victorian NPL with Heidelberg United. This is her second season for the Glory, after she spent a little bit of time at the raw, industrious midfielder. To add some energy. Jackson, the ball almost finding McNamara again via Rostbacken. The Glory will know. They would have watched the Ninja A-League yesterday. They will know that this is far from a lost cause, no matter what the time in the game. They've just got to find that extra ounce of energy to will themselves through this. Here's 18 Keane for City. Keane up against Zog, beats Zog. Still Keane up against Johnston, now Keane. Straight at Morrissey.
That's a great run from 18 Keane. Brushed off the challenge of Zog, tried to cut inside, when came back outside, just couldn't get her foot wrapped around the ball to cut it back to where McNamara was lurking in the centre.
The City will be happy to keep possession as much as they can at this stage, as long as they have the ball. Glory can't score. Something that possession-focused coaches love to say.
That's it. It's the easiest way to defend a lead is by having possession of the ball, giving the opposition any opportunity to create chances. But I think important for City now, you can see them also controlling the tempo. So still wanting to go forward. That's a great pass by Otto.
Apostolakis beating 2 Glory players and then playing it in for Keane. Back to Apostolakis. Tisha McKenna, apparently the happier of the 2 McKenna sisters.
Yeah, definite bragging rights.
Stott not able to get through, but Apostolakis comes and picks up the ball. Rosbacken, McNamara, back to Rosbacken. Devon Jackson is the player making the run central. Rosbacken retains possession. Zog, after a hairy moment, just about manages to get it away. Holler up to Lincoln. O'Donoghue looking to thread the needle. Bronte True's only scored once today. This time wasn't getting there ahead of Taylor Otto.
Bronte True just looked a bit heavy-legged there. Right idea, trying to get the ball, turn the City defence around. But she's gone through a hell of a lot of work, Bronte True, in this match, defending without the ball, trying to press. You can see the intensity has really dropped from Perth. Now City just in control of possession and the tempo of the game. There's absolutely no reason for them to rush things, to try and take any risks. They can just keep the ball moving and ask the question to Perth, what are you going to do about it?
They've also got an extra few substitutions if they want to draw upon them. They've only made 2.
Yeah, and I think getting the fresh legs on for Perth was the right thing to do by Stephen Peters. I don't think they have had the impact that I think he would have hoped for.
And there will be a stoppage in play and perhaps another substitution required for City, because it's Holly McNamara who is sitting down requiring some attention. I don't love that she's motioning at the knee, but hopefully that's nothing too serious.
Well, it could also be just there's no reason to take any risks. It's been a warm day here in Melbourne. The sun's been shining. Ollie McNamara has scored 3 goals, quality goals, all different types of goals. This finish, absolutely delightful. And, you know, she as she always does, she's put in a mountain of work.
She certainly always does. 3 goals today for the Mac, 3 shots on target. She's just clinical. It brings her to 7 for the season, the top of the Golden Boot race, keeping in mind that Melbourne City have played fewer games than anyone else as well, following the pattern from last season. She scores about a goal a game consistently and has for the majority of her career. 44th A-League Women's appearance, 34th goal in this game, and confirmation that will be the substitution for City. McNamara's day is done. She'll be very satisfied with that. Don't get too much better than a hat-trick. She's replaced by Ellie Wilson, who made her Melbourne City debut in the derby just before Christmas. She's overcome shoulder surgery and a concussion to get here. Had bragging rights for some of her former Melbourne Victory teammates at Christmas lunch, and now she's out here for her 2nd Melbourne City appearance to help them see the game out.
Yeah, it's always fun to have the bragging rights in any of the derbies. It's such a wonderful competitive match between City and Victory. One full of quality, full of intensity.
And that'll be the final substitution for City. 3 windows used. It's True, just not able to get that one under control, and the commitment from Danielle Turner to get back and prevent that corner immense. Johnston now wearing the captain's armband for the Glory. Can she produce another moment like she did for her assist earlier? Tovar into midfield, O'Donoghue. Nice touch from Zog. Oni Zog out wide. Lincoln lifts it over the crossbar.
Lovely footwork from Oni Zog, just to try and get out of the pressure, break out of the pressure, get that ball, switch of play, little nutmeg there. Playing it into Chloe Lincoln, who, to be honest, with that first touch and then trying to hit it really early, did well. Just couldn't get her head over the ball and keep it down on target.
Yeah, she's scored lots and lots of goals in the WA NPL, Ella Lincoln, only 21 years of age. She's now scored 2 in this competition. She'd love to make it 3 today. Devon Jackson for City. Being urged to play it up the line for Ross Backen. Probably played the pass a little bit too late. Ross Backen not able to get it under her control. McKenna up for Sardo. Julia Sardo cutting back inside. Sardo, the delivery. Headed away by Stott. And then Aileen Keane coming a long way back to help out with defence. Glory still in possession, no, intercepted. But Jackson not able to keep it under her control. Spare a thought for the youngsters on City's bench. Isabella Rako and Kaya Jugovic won't get on today. Matriciani tends to not completely empty his bench. Look at the pace up top. City still with plenty of attacking chances. Interesting to see Wilson used in that attacking role. She was a fullback for Melbourne Victory last season, but as she gets more and more minutes for City, we get to see what her and Michael Matriciani have been cooking while she's been injured.
That's awesome. Usually you see the strikers get converted into central midfielders or defenders. So to see it actually go the other way, to see her attacking tendencies and her attributes, love that.
Here's Stott. into midfield and back for Apostolakis. You said earlier, Ish, it's City who are challenging Perth to come and get them. As long as they have the ball, they're in no rush.
Yeah, and there's big distances between the Perth players. That was a wayward pass by Turner, but really it's all pretty comfortable for City at the moment. And the only time that there is a turnover possession is from a poor pass from them. I think Perth Glory have just about run out of steam. They put in a pretty good shift, but that third goal really took it out of them, and they just haven't been able to create too much.
Only 1 minute of regulation time remaining. And we can see how much stoppage time that the Glory have to get themselves back into this game. We're hearing 5 minutes for the Glory. Here's Johnston. Long ball over the top. It's come out for Holler. She had to hit the target, Gabby Holler, if the Glory were getting back in this game.
Well, we saw it yesterday with Central Coast Mariners and Melbourne Victory. If Gabby Holler actually puts that ball in the back of the net, then we have a very interesting final few minutes of this second half. Only one goal in it. Couldn't control the ball, had an open goal. It sat up nicely. That is a huge missed opportunity.
She's got a brace in the first round of the season, Holler, against the Wanderers, but hasn't scored or gotten an assist since. And you have to at least challenge the keeper there. It's set up beautifully.
Yeah, that was a great opportunity. It should have been a goal. I think you'd look at a player like McNamara, who has the 3 shots and 3 goals. The ability to be clinical when you only have 1-2 opportunities potentially in a game is the absolute difference between being competitive and really struggling through a season.
So it is 5 minutes of stoppage time confirmed for the Glory. 5 minutes for them to score 2 goals.
5 minutes, such a long time, and could have changed the momentum completely, Taryn, if Gabby Holler was able to put that in the back of the net.
Keane, 18 Keane goes to ground. Tova, referee saying it was 50-50. And Tova now down, cramping, probably needing some assistance. Zoga's taken herself out of the game as well to help out with the cramp, but the Glory are trying to play on here. McKenna, surely just take it out of play. You've got 2 players down. That is probably why you heard some foul language just then through the effects mic. Well, firstly, what did you make of this? Was this a foul?
I thought it was a foul. She was grabbing onto her shirt. She was pulling her down from behind. I thought it was a definite foul. Incredible from Zog, I think, to try and help Tova with her cramp while play. I think she was trying to entice the referee to stop play. The referee is not going to stop play for cramp. And there was Danielle Turner and Wilson on this left-hand side trying to win that ball back. Yeah, that was an interesting scenario.
McKenna's unwillingness to just hoof the ball out of play, it must be coached. It must be something that Stephen Peters has said, you know, we want to keep possession. Well, here's another question for you, Ish. If that was called a foul, how close is that to a red card?
Yeah, I think it could have been touch and go. I think it probably game management from the referee. Yeah, if they were feeling pretty harsh, and maybe by the laws of the game, yeah, it was a goal-scoring opportunity. I think as far as like game management is concerned, with a team that's 3-1 up, should that come into the psyche of the referee, the subjectivity of it? But take all that away. The free kick wasn't given, and then Oni Zog decided to give Tovas a hand. But yeah, to your point with McKenna trying to keep the ball in play, of course, I think every single coach wants their players to try and keep the ball in play, because if you do kick it out, you are just giving away possession. However, there are times, and in the first half, McKenna did get punished for trying to keep that ball in play. And maybe at this point of the game, you'd still got a few minutes left. They've created a great opportunity before, so maybe it's just about being safe, getting the ball out, and then resetting to try and win it back.
So all of that time, you'd imagine, will be added on to this stoppage time. So Perth Glory still with about 4 minutes of play remaining to try and create these 2 opportunities that they need. It's City, though, who pick up the ball. A heavy collision. Play on, says the referee. Aiden Keane continuing to be in the wars as she has been all game. Stott into Davidson. And taken away from her. So can the Glory launch something? Neat little 1-2. O'Donoghue. Fresh legs. Can't find Lincoln. She's full of running, Sarah O'Donoghue. That's always something that she can do. And in that case, couldn't find the pass that she needed.
We were talking before, Taryn, about cramp. Georgia Cassidy suffered from cramp and it's over there as well. Clearly it has been a warm day in Melbourne. They have been pressing hard, trying to maintain the intensity, and that can take its toll.
Gabby Holler dropping deep, winning a foul. Both Glory players watching on nervously. And we'll take something special from here.
Yeah, I think Georgia Cassidy knew the camera was on her, so did a little look away there. Yeah, it's a shame you see like the pickle juice come out from the physios. A few people with tight calves, dehydration, warm conditions.
Glory with the ball. We'll have a couple of extra minutes after that stoppage for Tovar's injury. Not all is lost yet for the Glory, but City look well in control at the moment.
Yeah, I think they'll just be happy to take their time with any stoppages in play. Really no need to rush it. Just try and maintain possession.
Kostelakis won't mind the extra couple of seconds of being pushed back as well. Just takes off an extra couple of seconds off the clock, and unfortunately here the ricochet from the header has hit Julia Sato at close range.
Yeah, she's been in a fair bit today, Julia Sato, and this is probably the longest time she's stayed down. She's up on her feet now. But obviously that ball kind of hit up in her nose, which is always incredibly painful. Usually makes your eyes water straight away. Really hard to kind of get your vision back quickly.
They're tough, these players. The physio has been called for Sato. I think because it is a head injury, even though Sato is indicating, well, it's just hit my nose, I'm just a bit shocked, but due diligence must be done.
I think she was having a look at her lip as well. I think the way the ball hit it, maybe like up and in against her teeth. No, they're putting it up the schnoz. Yeah, a bit of blood coming out. It did look like the ball hit up. And I have a feeling Julia Sato is the type of player that's probably suffered from 1 or 2 broken noses in her time, which makes them a little more susceptible for a bit of claret coming out.
All true. Trying to get there with pace. Sato, race against time to get back on the pitch before full time is blown. We are now into our 8th minute of stoppage time, and it's Melbourne City against 10 in possession. Wilson. Ellie Wilson now trying to beat her player, can't do so. Westaway does her job. But the longer this goes on with City in possession, in exactly the wrong part of the pitch from a Perth Glory point of view, the safer Melbourne City will feel.
Absolutely. I think this is game over. Melbourne City seeing it out. Perth putting up a good fight, but just not able to execute for the whole 90 minutes. And again, we'll be on reflection disappointed with a couple of the goals that they've conceded.
Turner's throw. No thoughts of going to the corner for City. Well, that is full time at Amy Park. It is Melbourne City who are victorious. A Holly McNamara special, a hat-trick from the Matilda, and a hat-trick of assists from Leah Davidson as well, who put on a show out there. Perth Glory, they played well in patches. Bronte True scored her first goal in purple in the second half to bring it back to 2-1. And they can take lots and lots of positives out of this as Holly McNamara has a laugh with Perth Glory coach Stephen Peters. Sometimes you just get McNamara in this league, don't you? Full time, it is Melbourne City 3, Perth Glory 1. So here's how the match unfolded. It was Perth Glory who started out on top, but Melbourne City began to assert their dominance.
Delightful first time ball from Leah Davidson. That understanding between Davidson and McNamara. McNamara just pulling off the shoulder in between Anderson and McKenna and just powering that ball into the corner of the net.